common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Joining us now to talk about all of this here on Katz and Cosby is John Yoo, the great legal expert, and of course serves as professor of law at University of California, Berkeley. Professor Yoo, your reaction to the fact that Alvin Bragg, in this filing, he sort of left the door open. Trump's supposed to be sentenced September 19th. Judge Marchand seems political, but interesting. Judge Weinberg, you have a theory that it's kind of with all of this.
John, welcome back to the show. My theory is very simple, that if Judge Marchand was an honest broker and was trying to do the right thing, he'd throw the entire case out, given the Supreme Court decision, because they misused evidence against Trump having to do with his official acts. So, John, I think this is the cover for Marchand to get rid of the case. The question is, will he get rid of it, or will he just delay the sentencing now that Bragg is giving him the opportunity?
Or could he just discount it, too, and say he's still moving forward? Your thoughts, John?
I agree with you, Your Honor. I think that any normal, respectable judge would take the hint. It's not just a hint, almost an order from the Supreme Court to declare mistrial because they used evidence which was unconstitutional, according to this court, or using evidence from Trump's time as president to convict him of something allegedly that he did when he wasn't president. It's very rare that the Supreme Court justices send a paragraph directly to a trial judge in New York City. Maybe they should do it more often, but this is the only time I can think of where they gave a direct order, basically.
Well, the real flaw here is there never should have been a trial until there was a resolution of the immunity issue.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't think Judge Marchand will delay the sentencing. He had so many opportunities to slow the case down, take his time. As you know, as we've discussed on the show, there were so many complicated issues about immunity, about whether federal law could be involved, about Stormy Daniels' testimony. We could go on. And instead, if anything, Judge Marchand accelerated everything because he wanted it done, I think, before the election. I think what's going on with the prosecutor now is that the prosecutor is showing, if we didn't know it already, that this was all about timing for the election. He got what he wanted. He got Donald Trump labeled a felon before the election. Now he's worried that he's gone too far, that if Trump actually does get sentenced to jail by Judge Marchand, it'll spark a backlash and hurt the Democrats.
And, John, I want to raise another issue with you, too. You've had the occasion to look at the House committee's report on Biden corruption and
Yes.
the abuse of office. Now, what to me, and you're a very high-level former official in Justice Department, to me the most shameful part of that report, separate apart from the grifting of the Biden family, was the fact that officials of the Justice Department, including Weiss, covered up, misused, and abused the judicial system and the prosecutorial function.
They let it lapse.
They let it lapse. The statute of limitations on the most important stuff was lapsed. What do you say?
If that is true, that would be, I think, one of the worst things you've heard about the Justice Department in quite some time. And we've heard a lot of terrible things about the Justice Department these last 10 years. Think about it this way. Richard Nixon was going to be impeached for obstructing justice by trying to get DOJ's investigations into the Watergate burglars slowed down, interfered with, and dropped. Is the allegation made in the impeachment report all that different? According to the impeachment report, President Biden, although they don't have any testimony from President Biden, that's something that's still, that's an investigation. You still need to have more done here. But according to them, President Biden has people at the Justice Department who dragged their heels so much on investigating these claims of corruption while Biden's president that they can't be brought anymore. That could be obstruction. We need to know more of the facts, though, because it's hard to tell what really happened. Is this really incompetence or was it a cover-up?
Before I let you go, Professor John Yoo, I want to go back really quick to the issue with Trump and the sentencing issue. You brought up that it looks like the judge is still going forward. Other folks like Andy McCarthy, who we've had here on the show, I know you know Andy, former assistant U.S. attorney, he believes that Trump will be sentenced to prison. Not that it will actually be carried out, but that the sentence will happen, that Trump will appeal. He thinks that this judge is just so bent on it politically. What do you think is going to happen? You just said you believe he will go forward.
I think he will. I think he'll keep his September 18th sentencing date. And even though Trump is a first-time offender for a nonviolent crime, right? You're allegedly bookkeeping irregularities to cover up, hush money. You wouldn't normally. I would defer to the judge there, but I normally would think you wouldn't sentence someone like that to jail time. But has Judge Merchan given any indication that he's going to be merciful towards Donald Trump? If anything, he's shown all his cards to be that he is going to be tougher on Trump than on the average person.
If it wasn't Trump as a defendant, there never would have been a case here in the first place.
Yeah, I think the judge should have dismissed the case because essentially the prosecutor here is trying to charge him for federal crimes he's not allowed to charge him for, and DOJ chose not to prosecute. So if that's the case, then I think the only interesting question to me is not whether he's going to get jail time, but whether Judge Merchan would make him start serving it right away on September 18th, or whether he would treat him like a normal defendant and say, you get to be out on bail while your case is up on appeal.
Yeah. Wow. It's an incredible moment. And this is coming up very soon. August, it's August 20th. So we got less than a month until this is going to happen. John, thank you so much. You got to come back again. Keep us posted,
Thank you very much.
John.
We deeply appreciate you.
Yeah, Professor.
Always happy to.
Thank you. Love having you here.